2M, $2.40 per gallon. For the HFRS-2, no bid. For the HFRS-2M, no bid. For the SS-1H, $3.12 per gallon. For the fog seal, it is for CQSEA, CQSEA, and that's $1.76 per gallon. That's it for them. Yeah, there's not going to be a total to this. Okay. Next one looks like it's from Asphalt Materials. Okay, CRS-2M. CRS-2M is 2.048 price per gallon. 2.048. The HFRS-2 is 1.993. The HFRS-2M is 2.243. 2.243.
Okay.
The SS-1H is 2.533. 2.533. And then the fog seal, they gave us a price for two different types, but it's the same price. So fog seal CSS-1H dilute is 1.553. And then fog seal CQSEA is 1.553. That's it.
What is the emulsion that we used last year? Was it CRS-2M?
Yeah, it was a CR.
It was a CR, yes.
What's the difference between the emulsions? How do we decide which one we want?
Fingernails.
I don't know how to answer that.
So CRS-2M is what we call a cationic emulsion, and it's got a polymer in it. That's what the M stands for. So HFRS-2M is its counterpart on the anionic side. So those two products are pretty similar. HFRS-2 by itself is just a high flow rapid set emulsion, has no polymer in it at all. And then SS-1H is your tack material for when you're paving.
Put that down first.
Yep, before you put your hot mix down. And then the two different fog seals, that's what you spray over your chip seals to make them black. I hate to say it, but you paint your chip seals. So, but when you see your liquids, if you have M after it, that means it's modified, has a polymer in it. It makes it a little more durable, a little more to withstand traffic a little better than your anionics or your non-modifieds. I mean.
Thank you.
Did we not have a lot of trouble last year?
year before.
The year before. Last year, everything seemed to be good, and we switched to the modified last year.
The CRS2M.
Yes,
Who did we buy it from last year?
asphalt material.
Asphalt materials. Do we know what we paid last year? How much it went up this year?
It actually went down. I
Went
don't know the number, but it went down.
Well, that's always good news.
Price of oil went down.
Why didn't they just round it up to like $2?
I do not know why my boss did that.
That little cents right there makes a big difference.
It,
Found that out with Brian.
Yeah.
it can some days, because if Michigan paving came in and was at 205,
Right.
yeah.
That
So-
little cents for
Yeah.
a large quantity makes a difference.
It does.
Well, then they could just round it down.
That'd be nice too, but.
Do I,
I would move that we award the bid for asphalt emulsion to asphalt materials. Support.
any more discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They jumped around so much, I don't know where to start. Old business, do we have any old business? If not, it looks like we don't have any more. Anything on old business or no? Okay, we jump to new business. Nothing there either. Okay, public comment. Anybody?
Doug's got some thoughts.
All right, I didn't see it.
That's okay. Just on the emulsion, as Commissioner Klein mentioned, in particular, Hillsdale Township had a lot of questions and complaints about how whether it was, Bacon or Bun Road, I can't remember where it was at. But, just to do everything we can to address, those kind of concerns, for the past and for the future, so.
It wasn't just Hillsdale Township.
That was 2 years ago.
Well, those are the meetings I sit in.
Yeah,
It was 2 years ago.
it was spread all over the
We
county.
had to redo what we did.
At our cost.
Yeah,
Last year, we redid what we did 2 years ago.
and that's why we switched to the modified.
But I think we had some trouble with filters and stuff on this polymer. Didn't they bring us a load that wasn't mixed too good?
Well, we had to do some adjusting, yes.
Okay.
That was the year before, though, wasn't it?
No, that
No,
was
when
last
we
Oh,
year.
first
last
switched
year
to
you
the,
had that?
when we first switched to the polymer.
Oh, okay. That's good. Anything else? Any comments?
What about Kevin
Do
Saint?
we have any idea when a determination is gonna be made on the Bibbins Road deal? The closing of the northern end?
Isn't,
Next week, or next board meeting, Stone Coat's coming,
right,
I know.
and we are waiting right now for, what do you call it? Resolution from Moscow Township.
Yeah.
That is where we're at in the process right now, but it's moving forward with, abandoning that section of road.
We'll talk to Moscow Township tonight then.
That's what's holding us back to move forward is that resolution.
So I guess I'm glad you ladies brought that up because, at the last meeting, Stone Cove had sent a letter, I think, and Bob read the letter and it talked about various things that they were willing to do to make this happen. And, one of the things that I learned in going to Monroe on Monday, I had no idea how big of a company Stone Co is.
they're huge.
Huge.
what they're proposing to do, the $200,000 number, as far as I'm concerned, isn't nearly enough. And to get my vote, it's gonna take more than that. You know, they're not just some little local company.
And they didn't propose that to us, they proposed it to Moscow Township too.
So,
I haven't proposed anything to the road commission,
right,
only to the township.
Bob, I thought was gonna talk to the Moscow Township supervisor.
Regarding the resolution,
No, regarding the agreement, because we talked about even if it went through, whatever monies they received, we would only be happy with the township receiving it if that money were put in a road fund only.
For match,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
For match. So, and so I hope that those things are resolved before that 22nd, the meeting on the 22nd.
I know that, 'cause I know last board meeting asked if you guys had any other concerns to get with him so he can address it before the 22nd, so I'm not sure where he's at with that.
Right, well, we addressed those concerns during the meeting, and we have not heard back via email any
So I'm not sure if
updates.
it's been,
So I think we need to send Bob an email.
follow up.
Well, I think Bob needs to send us an email and
I
follow
think
up
he-
as to where we're at.
I think he was gonna talk to Bill Petrie.
I know
Try
you've
and
had some
straighten-
calls in
yeah.
to him, I don't know if there's been calls back or not, I'm not sure.
So if you have concerns about the number, you need to get a hold of Bob,
okay.
I would think. So, because all along, we have talked that, you know, it'd have been nice if Moscow Township would have pushed for a 5 cents a ton that left that area, left those quarries, to be paid as a royalty to the
Increase.
township. And I know there's been, question, the Stone Co's kind of rebuttal was as well, Moscow Township's gonna get this property when they're all said and done. But the property they're getting
Can't be built on.
can't be built on, so they're not gonna be able to sell lots, and it's gonna cost money to maintain it as a park of any sort. And how does Moscow Township pay for that? But again, that's not road commission issues, that's Moscow Township issues. So, and right now, they don't have money for their roads, so,
What amount of gravel does Stone Coat donate to Moscow?
700?
It's 700 right now, but I believe they're moving it up to 1,200 tons.
there is a base amount now, and they are increasing it, and I don't remember the numbers.
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
right
it was-
now,
I think it was
it's
We're going up to
700.
1,000.
Okay,
and was it 1,000 or
I thought-
1,200? Because Bob said,
Okay,
that's why I like
don't
things
know.
in writing.
But, so the
But-
price of gravel is it $10 or $15 a ton?
It's about 15,
About 15.
All right.
yeah.
So that's not a huge amount of money on an annual basis. I mean, it's a, it's a good thing that they're doing.
Sure.
But their whole purpose in wanting to do this is,
To get more gravel.
and to do it far more efficiently
Right.
than they will have to do it if they have to put some sort of a conveyor under the road.
All I want, bottom line is money. It's more gravel, but it's more money.
Yeah.
It's bottom line.
so how many tons of gravel do you think leaves that pit a year?
Wouldn't have a clue.
A lot.
Well,
At 2 cents would be a fortune.
well, and that's, I mean, because at 1,200 ton, it's $18,000 a year. At 700 ton, it's, $8,000 a year, or whatever the difference is, or about $10,000 a year. So that kind of sounds like money, but what you really gotta compare it to is a 1 or 2 or 3 cent royalty for every ton left. As I attended Moscow meetings, they make mention of, other quarries they have other rules, and they don't follow the same rules at all their quarries.
Yeah.
But I also heard at that Southeast Council meeting that the lady who spoke of Stone Co. wasn't very happy with Stone Co. and I don't know exactly where she was from. And what they were talking about is that if, talking about the state regulating all pits
Instead
in
of
the state of
locals.
Michigan instead of the locals. And that they said the locals better start working with these people, or that's what's gonna happen. I think that's what Senator Molino indicated. And then the woman, and I, you guys remember which? Is that from Washington? Yeah,
I was
okay.
thinking she was from Washington.
And
Her
she
name's
was,
Barb.
yes, Barb from Washington said, well, Stoneco, if they would play nice, essentially, I mean, that wasn't her words, is, you know, it's not all on us locals. I didn't know they had a pit in Washington. Whenever they mentioned Stoneco to me, they always mentioned the one south of Monroe.
Well, they got one in Lambertville too.
Well, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I know they pay Lambertville Township, royalty. No, they-
Right, and
Most
so,
kids do.
right, and so I have been pushing, right, ever since this came up, I have been suggesting to Bill that he
Well-
gets a royalty, and I don't know how hard he's working.
You need
The
to
other-
quit being Mr. Nice Guy and play hardball.
What he wanted you to negotiate.
Well, I'm not the negotiator, so I mean, I'm an ideal guy, but I'm not the negotiator. You know, the other thing,
Would
the
you,
other conversation is paving that road, and I think they would've paved it. But for whatever reason, they said, I don't know what powers to be in town, in Moscow Township says, no, we want a gravel road. I don't understand
Why,
that.
why? I don't know who they.
We've been pushing Stoneco hard to
For
pave that
paving.
road,
Right,
because they've got a paving company, they own a
Right.
paving company, so it wouldn't cost them that much money.
right,
And we were also pushing for the closure of the road,
right,
because in order, if they've got that, over on Moserville, they've got that conveyor belt.
right.
And if they put a conveyor belt across Bivens Road, where they would put it, would not be too far from our property, and all you hear 7 days, well, they can't run on Sunday anymore, 6 days a week, 24 hours a day is clang, 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 clang. That's
we want
all
the
you
road
hear.
Right.
That's what we're asking, that's why we don't want a conveyor belt across there. We want them to close that road down. And then, I'm sure they'll still have some kind of conveyor belt, but we're also gonna push Stoneco that you're gonna put some berms in. Because
They're doing the
Stoneco knows us well, 'cause we,
Well, we're the ones that are impacted.
yeah,
They ruined our life, basically.
yeah, they
So,
ruined our
they're trying to
property,
be nice.
they ruined our property values, and we couldn't sell that house now if we wanted to. Maybe someday when it's gonna be lakefront property,
yeah.
you could maybe sell it, but, you know, we won't be alive at that time.
Right.
So they ruined they ruined everything for us. So that's why we're pushing for the road closure, and we're pushing to get it paved. There's no reason why they can't pay. And they said, well, we're gonna give you better gravel. We don't want better gravel. We want the road paved.
Right, right.
So,
All right, we'll have to lean on.
we'll
Bill.
lean on Bill a
You need
little
to
bit
leave,
too.
because the last I heard was that they didn't, that in, I don't know if you ladies specifically were cited, but the people who lived on that road didn't want to pave road because, by God, they're gonna go fast on the road.
Only one
To the
person.
dead end?
That's what I thought.
Only one person on that road doesn't want it paved or closed.
Right,
Only one.
Right,
person.
okay, and so, again, there needs to be pressure put on Bill.
We can do that.
We can do
Okay.
that.
I mean, that's what I was saying.
So one of the things, I have a good friend who lives, I believe it's Sears Road. Maybe I've got the wrong,
that's Jackson County.
okay, so, I don't have a map in front of me. But, so it runs through Lambertville, east and west through
Oh,
Lambertville.
you're,
No, out of our
yeah,
No,
yeah, you're down there.
out there.
Okay, I think it is Sears Road.
Stearns
No,
Road.
Stearns Road, yeah.
Stearns Road, okay.
Yeah, it's off.
Yeah,
So-
that pit is on Stearns Road.
All right,
Stoneco down there.
so they've got at least two big pits down there. They've got one on 24, just south of Monroe. But that's how I went.
I'm not sure if
Well,
that's still open. Is that one still open?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that one was closed.
Yeah, I think that one's open. And there's a Republic Waste.
And then they got the big pit on Stearns Road that they're expanding as we speak. And so,
That's where your limestone comes
my friend that I visited with, who lives just, he says, Stonecove owns pretty much all the land in this area. He said, and he's done some research on them, he says they're a publicly traded company on one of the stock exchanges. He says they've got pits all over this country. So, you know, they were one to offer $200,000 plus some additional gravel.
I think it was 240, just, I think that was the number,
That was
but
the
I'm
number
sorry.
that was thrown out, was
So,
Right, I think it was
you know,
240.
they've gotta be willing to, play better than this before they're gonna get my vote to close the road.
I did get confirmation from Bob that he did explain or discuss with Bill about making sure the money that Stoneco's gonna pay the township goes to a roads only, fund. He did talk to him about that, and he says that he does have the resolution, the township supervisor does, but other than that, he hasn't heard anything back from him. So,
Well, I had a conversation with a member of the Moscow Fire Department, and his big push was to get a well drilled at the fire barn so they can fill the trucks.
I think that was.
And that
That was
there.
part of the agreement, according to what Bob.
Okay, so Stone Cold was gonna pay for that besides the 240,000, or was the well gonna come out of the 240,000?
No, in addition to, originally, originally Stone Cold proposed putting a well at the dead end.
Right, but they had to put
But
power
the
to
fire,
it.
but the fire department wants a better well at the fire department, so they probably negotiated to have it there instead, is what kind of my understanding is. So it was essentially gravel the road and pay $240,000, increase their tonnage of gravel from 700 to 1,200 ton potentially, I'm not 100% sure on that number, and then,
Do the well.
and do the well. But I still think they should push for a paved road and a royalty, but.
No,
Stoneco's net worth, also known as its market capitalization, is approximately $3.65 billion as of May 6, 2025. This figure represents the total value of all outstanding shares.
Thank you.
Took me 30 seconds.
Made your point.
That's pocket change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's way pocket.
No, there is some,
and that's gonna keep growing.
but they flood them, unfortunately.
Your township.
It'll be
Okay,
interesting,
Mike, thanks.
it'll be interesting.
Well,
But he won't do it.
I think we.
Well, I think
Board
Bob,
has multiple
I think
votes.
Bob needs to
He's
know
only one vote.
whether
That's right.
You
this
gotta use
board
all the
is
votes.
of the same mind as Gary, that we're not gonna vote to pass that resolution unless
We see,
There's
the,
some positive changes.
yes, there you go, that's the way to put it, positive changes to the agreement, so.
Well, there's absolutely nothing coming to the road commission.
no, we're
It's
out.
our road, you know.
Right. Well, again, if they got a royalty, if Moscow Township got a royalty, then I think there's an argument that the upfront payment would come to the road commission, because they would have the royalty to work on going forward.
Yeah.
But if they just make that a bigger number with no royalty, I'm still okay with it staying at the township as long as it's a road fund money only.
That would be too, because they never have the match.
Yeah.
Correct.
No,
Correct.
any kind of work that needs to be done,
They don't have the money
they
to
don't
do
have
it.
the money. And then we hear from the residents of
Yeah.
Moscow Township
Yeah.
about why their roads are in bad shape.
And rightfully so.
Right.
I
They're
know,
not doing anything.
I've already heard that.
I would suggest that you ladies come on the 22nd.
Oh, we
We
plan
are,
on
we are.
It's on the calendar.
Thank you so much for coming today.
We just
Because
wanted to make sure we didn't have our dates wrong, so we said we're coming today.
it was on my mind to bring this up, but I'd forgotten about it until
Just forget about that.
you brought it up.
Good, good. Thank you.
So we need to push Bill hard to
Yeah.
be firm with Stone Cold, and he's not.
And your
He
other
just says whatever
board
Stone
members.
Cold wants to
Yes,
do,
yes.
he lets them do. Cause every time we talk to him, it's like, well, you know, there's no zoning laws in Moscow Township.
That's
That
irrelevant.
has nothing to do with the pit.
We'll
No,
work
that
on
don't
it.
have anything to do with it.
Yeah, we'll work on them.
The whole
He's
mistake was
one
made
vote.
when
Yep,
Stone
that's
Cold
right.
bought that property.
Yeah,
As soon as they bought that property and wanted to turn it into a pit, Moscow could have stepped in and
That's
got a
right.
royalty.
they
Right
should
now.
have.
With no problem. They would've gave it to them with no problem. But now they're operating and they're not real fans of doing it.
So that's why I'm raising this issue. To me, the only leverage we have right now is the Bibbins Road issue.
Yeah.
And so let's not miss this opportunity.
So you'd rather have the road paved?
Yes. we
Oh,
will.
yes, oh, yes.
Because if you
There's so
did,
much dust from the pit, we don't need the
Oh.
extra.
and then there's dust from the field, Weir's across the
Yeah,
road,
right,
of course. But the thing about the
Can't hardly
paving
breathe
road,
out
if they
there.
did in it, you're not gonna have a lot of speeding traffic on
Right.
that.
No.
So
No, and there's
we're
what,
gonna have Bob talk to Bill
Bob's trying to talk to Bill.
before the meeting. We need to
yeah,
put
Bob
down
needs to put some pressure on Bill too.
our requirements that we were talking about here.
When would that change the resolution that they already passed?
Well,
They can change
it
it.
can be redone.
Yeah, I'm just saying that would,
It can be redone.
That don't take too long.
You know, they made it sound 6 months ago like this had to be done almost immediately or it was gonna delay their operation.
So we're talking about the Moscow Township resolution.
Right.
I'd almost bet that that resolution is gonna be passed tonight. Was it passed at the last
No.
month's meeting? I wasn't at last month's meeting.
No, it was not passed.
So I almost bet that that is going to be on the agenda, and I'll bet they're gonna look for a resolution. So if you, and if you want changes, then I don't think you want that resolution passed tonight, potentially.
So we need to lean on all of the board members, not just Bill Petrie.
Yeah.
Who, they normally fall in line, duck step right behind him, but I think there's a couple we can get on board. Okay,
They can table the resolution
Sure.
until it's
Oh, there you
resolved.
go.
Yeah, they
There
can
you go.
table it.
Tabled or postponed, either one.
I think the road commission representative
city has
needs to
the
speak up at
resolution,
that
so
meeting
maybe
too,
has a
which I have confidence
But
in
no.
sure. How do you believe that?
Okay.
Okay, the resolution includes the numbers. Cause they sent me tonight's, agenda and the resolution. Stone Coat, I can read the whole resolution.
Give us the basics.
Yeah, well, okay, the 1,200-foot section of Bibbins Road, they wanna close it. Okay. The Stone Coat has offered the Township of Moscow cash in amount of approximately $240,000 and to make improvements to the remainder of Bibbins Road to create a lighted cul-de-sac at the end of the remaining portion of Bibbins Road, to reduce the noise by backup alarms, to reduce the dust generated at the processing operation, to improve the buffer visible to the residents of Bibbins Road, to donate an additional 500 tons of gravel for the road maintenance, 1,200 tons annually, and to create a water supply for the use of the fire department at the fire station, and to be more active in the community.
They promised that they promised that at one of our meetings a year ago almost, that they were gonna be
Yeah,
more
they haven't
active,
changed
and they haven't
anything
changed
yet.
anything.
No. When I got first involved with this, and I mentioned paving that road, and that was, Bob Griffiths was there, Bill Petrie was there, and 2 representatives from Stone Coat, and but after that, I heard noise that they would be willing to pave that road. They would
they didn't tell us.
In fact, they
no.
were at this, I think it was a county road commission meeting when they were here
Yes.
talking to us,
Yes.
and they sat in that audience and said, well, we could entertain that.
Yeah,
They didn't
that's
say
what
they
they
would.
told us to.
Right, and so I don't understand, and then what I hear out of Bill is nobody wants it paved. It's like, who doesn't wanna be on a paved road?
I know.
But-
I don't know who he's talking to, but.
Right.
Do you have a phone number?
So I don't think you want this passed in this manner, and I can say that the road commission would not support this unless
Exactly.
unless it's
some changes
a more,
were made.
that they're more
Favor-
favorable changes for the
Yeah.
township and or the road commission
Yeah,
to abandon that road.
Yeah.
All right, I can
Absolutely.
make
They
that
can't
comment.
just expand their gravel pits anywhere. Unless they own the property
Yeah.
and can do it like they do down in Lambertville.
So. All right, so you ladies are gonna do your due diligence.
Yes, oh, yes, we are.
Perfect, all right.
Tonight, we'll see you tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
239,
Anything else?
572,
I've been to enough good meetings. I don't need to go to another one.
239.
572.
I have confidence in Representative
Well,
Schmidt.
any of you are welcome to come
3243.
in addition to me, because they get tired of probably my arguments, so, you know.
All right, I'll show
No,
up.
we don't.
Very good,
What
thank you very
time?
much. 7
7
o'clock.
o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Okay, I'll show up.
Yep.
Yeah, the more people we have.
Do I throw my hat in first or?
No,
We'll throw it back out?
no.
These ladies are gonna be there, they're supportive.
We'll be there.
You too.
No,
I don't know.
they get
What's
enough
the
around
same
here,
about
they don't need to go
I
looking
put
for
it
it.
like that, I thought you were talking about them kids.
I would say for the most part, Moscow Township is not a bad township to go to their meetings.
No.
I got a couple people there that aren't happy with their road, and I hear from them, and I get it. It's just, there's not a whole lot we can do to solve the problem,
No,
so.
and that's the thing that needs to be said is to properly maintain a gravel road is not cheap.
Right.
It takes a lot of money.
Right.
And all gravel roads need to be re-gravelled every so, what is it, 10 years?
Maybe sooner.
About 8 to 10.
Yeah. So we have to do that on a contract basis with the township. And if the township hasn't got the funds, it don't get done.
Well, and then the next comment, when you say all that, is well,
I
the
pay
berms.
taxes.
No, well, that's not it, it's, well, the berms should be taken care of under maintenance, and if they have not been properly maintained, what are you gonna do about the berms this year? You gotta get the water off the roads, so.
Well, yeah, we know that.
You've never heard that before.
No, never.
So, okay, we've heard it all, but what are we doing to fix the problem? What's the response?
Depends on who you talk to, some of them say nothing.
Again, you're not telling me what we're doing to fix the problem.
We've been pulling berms and
They did this year.
Yeah, I
They
can
did
tell.
this year. They
Yeah,
started
Adams
pulling
Township.
we've
berms.
been pulling berms, wiping berms off.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, when you got a berm like that,
correct.
no, you
Yes.
can't.
Not gonna solve that with.
Okay.
You're gonna make
So-
a mess, is what you're gonna make.
So, when I say that they have been working on pulling some of the smaller berms in, that's a true statement this
It
year.
is a true
Pulling
statement.
them in, and if we can wipe them off and not fill ditches, they'll wipe them off.
Wipe them off, meaning sending them towards the
Yep.
ditch.
Putting them off into the
This
ditch.
was a big,
Yeah, if there's a big drop off.
I've
So
seen
I've
where
seen a
you
lot of
guys
places
have been,
where-
and I was
They,
impressed.
they
I
have
have
made
two.
a leap and bound
Yep.
improvement this year.
what people don't realize is when you talk about berms, we got 600 miles of gravel. That's 1,200 miles of berm.
Yeah.
You gotta do both sides.
Yeah.
And we can only get done, what, maybe 8 a year? If you, 8 miles.
Yeah.
Figuring in everything else we have to get done, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
And then we got the paved roads that have
it's never
berms
ending
on them
too. Anything else? If
I
not,
think we about covered it.
we could stand adjourned.